Hello, my name is Claudia Luke. I am the director of the Center for Environmental Inquiry at Sonoma State University, and I am one of the founders of the Virtual Field. So the Virtual Field is this collaboration of field station marine laboratories that are creating virtual experiences to teach students key skills like observation, communication, and critical thinking. Now, one of our projects are the ecosystem exploration videos, and that's what I'm helping you with today. This video is the fourth in a series of 5 instructional videos on how to make an ecosystem exploration video. And I want to make sure that you have that 10-step worksheet before I go any further. So let's take a look. It's easy to get to. Here's the home page for the virtual field at thevirtualfield.org. You just click on Contribute Content, and then down here under Ecosystem Exploration, you'll see that Step 3 has a link to the 10-step worksheet. Now you remember that in previous videos, 1 through 3, we decided what ecosystem we wanted to film. We identified unique features of those ecosystems. We gathered together equipment we needed, and we filmed a video. And then we described the resulting video. Now in this step, we're going to use the video and what's in it to create educational content. And before I do that, I just wanted to remind you what that educational content looks like. So let's do that really quick review. First, let's go back to the virtual field. And let's go ahead and open up one of the Find Evidence exercises under the Ecosystem Exploration series. So virtual visits, ecosystem exploration, go down the page, choose one of the videos, and you'll scroll down and you'll see, oh, here are the Explorer guides. This is for the students. There's 4 different exercises. The one we're creating content for here is the Find Evidence series. So let me open one of those up just to remind you the kinds of information that we need. So as a student, you're coming in here, you see a title page. On slide 2, there is some information about what you're doing here. On slide 3, there's some background data about its location, what kind of climate zone, all that kind of thing. And then there's a brief introduction to the ecosystem that you've landed in. In this case, it's Florida scrub. Now the questions, the exercise for the students, comes to them in a series of questions. Each of these questions provides sufficient background information that they don't have to have any prior knowledge other than the information that's given in this PowerPoint, Google slide exercise that they're doing. So here's an example. Background information on drought. Drought adaptations are really important for Florida scrub. And here is a sentence about how important it is for plants to survive. There's so little water available to them because of sandy soils that they have to figure out how to retain moisture or they're going to die. So what is drought adaptation? Definition. 2, why is it important? And then 3, examples of what it looks like. And that's what these 3 bulleted items are, is what do plants tend to do to try to achieve this ability to deal with drought. So after they're given the background information, they're then asked some specific questions to go find evidence for that feature or process in the video. And they have to fill this in and answer the questions. So that's what we're going to be doing from steps in this video, from steps 6 through 9. Okay, so let's go back to the 10-step worksheet. In step 6, we're defining the features and processes and what the evidence looks like. And we provide this nice little spreadsheet here that's going to prompt you to provide the content for those slides that we just looked at as an example. So the first column here is the feature or process, and this is auto-populated from the previous step that you did in step 5. And now what you need to do is just to fill in the information in the yellow areas, column D, E, F, and G. And this is going to create the introductory slide for the questions. So first you need a definition of the feature or process. So the example might be, oh, I was showing behavioral adaptation, what it takes to live in this ecosystem. And then the example of a definition of that process might be, behavioral adaptations are genetic changes that result in behaviors that help an organism survive or reproduce. Something short. And then the next sentence on that slide was, why is it important? Because many animals aren't capable of surviving the full range of conditions that occur during the day, so they behaviorally adapt by going underground. And then finally, what is evidence for that kind of behavioral adaptation? In this case, it's that many animals dig burrows, so burrows are the evidence. They're holes in the ground, they come in all shapes and sizes, they have very different types of temperature regimes. And then finally, what photo would you like us to put on that page of a burrow? Something that's shareable, that's not copyrighted. And so you just do that for all of your stops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now that's the end of step 6. Let's look at step 7. In step 7, we write those questions for the students that we were looking at. So these questions are usually in 2 parts. The first one, we ask them a question about finding the evidence, and we ask them to describe it really well. That's the practice they get, writing good descriptive text. So critical communication skill that they need. The second part of each question is usually some kind of inference or conjecture. So let's take a look at the worksheet and the examples that are provided. So these are auto-populated from the previous worksheets, timestamp, and the evidence. So the example we did before was, where is it? And it was an animal burrow. So this evidence question is where we ask students to find evidence for the feature or process that they just learned about. So often this will be find evidence of behavioral adaptations that allow animals to survive temperature extremes in this ecosystem. And list the timestamps where you see evidence. That's really critical. You have to let them point out, I saw it here and it looked like this. Then we have an opportunity for an inference question. Something might be, give them some more information. Many organisms use these burrows. If one of these burrowing species were to decline in numbers, what kind of impact do you think it would have on the rest of the ecosystem? So I think that's a huge question for all of us, really. We don't know these answers. There doesn't have to be an answer, but we're asking them to engage with the information that they have. So that's it for this step. You just do that for all 6 of these different stops that you made in your video. So now we can go on to step 8. So in step 8, we're now just going to write some answers for the instructors based on the questions we asked the students. And I don't know if you've seen that before, but on the Virtual Field website, there are a series of instructor guides. I'll show you real quick. You go to the Virtual Field, and you'll notice up here there's a registered login. You must be logged in order to have access to those guides. So if I log in, and then I go to take a look at these sites, so then you scroll down when you're logged in, and the instructor guides appear. So let's take a look and see what kinds of information we usually give to instructors. We go to the Find Evidence Ecosystem video resources, and we click on the answer guide for the university. And this looks just like the student example. So let's go take a look and see what I'm going to skip down to the first question that we asked the students. Here is the first question about the drought adaptations that we gave students some information about. And here is a question that we asked them. So the student, we said, watch the video again and find examples of the following drought adaptations. And so here are the answers then that we're going to give the instructors. Here's a timestamp, here's a description of the plant, here's possible water conserving benefit for the plant, and we're giving them good student answers. We're not giving them like encyclopedic primo answers. Just so they get a sense of what the students might be able to do. And then down below, you'll see on the page, there is a concept area in the notes section underneath. And this is your chance to just add anything you wanted to. Like you have research on site you want to mention that has something to do with this, or there's something about your field station that's amazing, or you want to point out some other really cool adaptation that you usually talk about when you're talking about this species, when you go on walks, that kind of stuff. So that's what we're trying to create when we look at the 10-step worksheet, step 8. Right answers for the instructor guide. So let's take a look at some examples. You just scroll down and you see here that you have some of what you had created previously that's now populated here. So for example, let's say that we ask the students to find evidence of behavioral adaptations that allow animals to survive temperature extremes in this ecosystem. Well, then we're going to give the instructor some answers. So the timestamp that we ask the students to identify are at 1 or 140 or 205, and at each, what would be a typical good answer for a student to give? They see a large oval burrow, perhaps a foot in diameter. It's dug among roots on a hillock of sand. You know, something that doesn't just say, I see a black circle, but it goes the distance of talking about what kind of burrow it looks like. So you give those answers to the instructors for each of those 6 questions that you drafted from before. And then finally, for this video, we go to step 9. This is the place you get to do that fun stuff where you're just going to give them things you think is cool, like about research at your site or whatever it might be. So here are the questions that you asked, populated from previous steps, but here's the additional information. And sometimes it's nice to give species names if you don't include them. You don't have to if you don't want to, but just give some additional information that maybe you can reach out to this instructor and say, this might be a cool thing if you want to follow up on with your students about this video. And with that, you go down and do that for your 6 different questions, and you are done. And that is the end of the development of the educational content. So you have just created a video and a video guide, and now the only thing left to do is to upload your video, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next and last video in this instructional series.